Okay, so here we are. Here's my drones. So they're flying around, scanning the area. The conveyor belts are working nicely. You have to figure out the correct path through.
I'm Xanderwood. I make indie games and tutorials on game development. I also play your indie games every week on my channel. Make sure you subscribe and click that bell icon so you never miss a video.
So welcome back, it's Devlog number 9 and we have some drones, and I'm pleased to say that the level is almost finished. This will be level 1 of course. Let me just show you what I've done. I've added in these guys. This is a drone. If I double click it, it's got an animation cycle. If I drag this up, it's got 14 frames of animation, and all I've done here is just move that kind of light around, and every third frame I've set it to flash. So it's a nice smooth animation. If you click on the animation here, the speed is 10, and if I play it, you can see that it just scrolls around the middle, flashing as we go, and that's just 14 frames, and that's just set to a loop indefinitely. I've got this patrolling area here because I want to keep it consistent with the camera zones. So if we find a camera here, I've just kind of copied that sprite and renamed it over here so I can use it as a separate object, and all that is, and I've got that down on here on the camera zone layer, so right at the bottom, and all that is a transparent kind of circle that I've squished down into a kind of oval shape. And then if you look at the way that looks in the code, before we go in there, it's got an orbit behavior. So if I click on behaviors, I've just given it the orbit behavior with a primary radius of 20 and a secondary of 30. So if we preview it, it just kind of orbits the drone. And all I've got it to do, if we go on to the enemies here, the enemies layout, the whole code that controls it is simply just these lines here. So every tick of the game, every frame, we identify which drone we're talking to. So there's 3 in total, which are these 3 here. If I go back to the layout 1, you can see there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. They're all the same. They've just got an instance variable with an ID. So depending on which one we're talking to, again, that's the drone and the drone zone. Then we set the sprite to orbit the drone based on the parameters we had over in the properties window. If we go back to the layout, the drones also have a sign behavior, and that sign behavior makes them bob up and down. They have a second sign behavior which makes them go left and right. I've added in, if we look on the player tab, I've added in a hurt function. So basically it's similar to what happens when they get zapped, except we don't kind of set the state to zapped and we don't change the animation. Basically we just disable the controls for 0.2 seconds, we set the flashing, the opacity, we set the invincibility so we can't get hit multiple times without being able to react to it. If we go back onto enemies, the drones, they will have a bullet attached to them. So effectively what will happen is if you walk into this radius here, if you walk into this area, the drone will start to fire at you bullets, and if they hit you, then you lose 1 heart, and if you lose both hearts, the level ends and the story progresses. So what that looks like is if the shadow is overlapping the zone of the drone, then every second we spawn a bullet and we shoot it off towards the player. And then I've got this animation that plays when the bullet hits a solid object. I've got these 2 here. So this is the bullet, and I've got this on an animation as well. So it basically just, all I've done is just done 4 frames and rotated it on each one. So when we play it, it looks like that. When the bullet hits a solid object, it spawns in this animation, which then plays that. We've got conveyor belts and we've got glass windows. These conveyor belts, these are just sprites. It's the same one on every single one, and they've got 2 frames of animation. They've got that one and they've got that one, and when you play it on a loop, it looks like the conveyor belt is moving, which looks quite nice. And I've just put a little bit of a shadow on the sides and on the actual arrows, which looks quite nice when it's zoomed out. And these are just sitting on top of this sprite here, which is just 8 frames, and all I've done is I've designed it in a way that we can select what frame we want, and they will all then fit together, and we can kind of like a tile set really, we can kind of piece them together, and they can then form the basis of that kind of countertop, if you like. And then I put a few computers in because it's kind of a working area, place some boxes on top. These are very simple, just one frame. It's just a design that I made for a little kind of glass window. They're on different layers, so obviously when the player walks behind this one, this layer here is in front, so the player will walk behind it, and these ones here, or these ones here, these are on a layer behind the player, so that when we walk in front of them, we walk in front of them, if that makes sense. I'm sure it makes sense, but that's fine. But that's what I've been working on this week. I've tweaked also the computer system, so they all work now, so you can get the full experience. I've started working on the main terminal here, which will unlock the hangar doors, but that will be all coming up in the next episode. And let me show you how this area works. Okay, so here we are. Here's my drones, so they're flying around, scanning the area. The conveyor belts are working nicely. You have to figure out the correct path through. You can walk behind these, which looks quite nice. And if you get caught by the camera, they shoot at you. Let me see if I can get shot at one more time. There we go, and we're out. And then the level progresses. Okay, that's it for this episode. In the next episode, I'm hoping we will be almost finished, pretty much almost finished with the level design. I've just got to figure out what to do with this room in terms of a kind of puzzle or some kind of evasive challenge. If you've got any ideas, then leave a comment below, because why not? Let's build this thing together. I've got my guard patrolling up in this one. So it's pretty much there, and then once this level is completed, we're going to get it up onto itch. I don't know if it will be public for everybody. We may put a little kind of test group, so if you're interested in kind of play testing through and providing some feedback, then please do leave a comment and let me know, because we will be looking to get some feedback on this. And I might be asking some people to kind of play through it on their YouTube and Twitch channels as well. So, stand by. That's all kind of coming up very shortly. But this is basically the first level of the game, and then we'll be looking to start building the next few levels in some upcoming devlogs. If you found the video entertaining, or if you are enjoying the journey so far, then please do like the video. It does help my channel, and if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.